Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, a hearty good morning to you on this Monday. We are back from Colorado. We are live. I still got my mountain man beard rolling, so I'm gonna hold that for one more day. Then we'll get back to sea level JP. We got so much to get to this morning. Lots that happened last week that we didn't quite get to flush out, so we'll get to all that good stuff, including Stu taunting people at the Rays game. One of my favorite stories. Also, UConn crushes South Carolina in the title game in Tampa. The Gators will play for the national championship tonight. Chris Harry will join us live from San Antonio from FloridaGators.com, the beat reporter for your Florida Gators. We got some news on the House versus the NCAA settlement, what that means for college sports. The Bolts back at it tonight against the Rangers. Ovi breaks the record. What does that mean? All kinds of cool stuff. Nick Geddes from On 3 Sports, good morning to you. How are you, partner?
Good morning. Glad to see you made it back to us. You didn't quite make it back to Tampa. I know you're still in Orlando, but close enough.
Yes.
Close enough.
We're getting there.
We're
getting there.
Sneaky,
Creeping along.
yeah, sneaky good sports weekend here in the first week of April for everyone not named the Rays. Let me preface that right now. The Rays did not have a good weekend. I did not have a good weekend watching them play. Thankfully, I was doing so many things this weekend that I was sort of in and out of all the games.
Right.
But for everything else that happened, it was pretty eventful.
Yeah, and we might as well. I don't know where to start. I hate starting on a downer, but the Rays are kind of all the conversation, so I guess we'll start right there. So I was looking at some numbers this morning, and I was just like, oh my God, the Rays are going to be at the bottom of everything, and they are at the bottom of a lot of things. They're tied for last in home runs. They're fifth worst in extra base hits, but they are 10th in batting average, for whatever that means. They are number one in least strikeouts. Mm-hmm. So they're getting some runners on base. But once again, the problem is knocking them in. It's knocking them in. And when you have so many holes in the lineup, and I'm not exactly sure what the hell Kevin Cash is doing with this lineup, just to be quite honest. It just seems like, guys get hot and then they sit and then they come back and then they're not good.
What the hell was it? Junior Caminero just sitting on a random Saturday, or was it Friday?
I don't get it. Well, he's tired. He's 21 years old and it's the beginning of the season. I don't get that. That guy's got to play every single day. It's baseball, man. And it's the beginning of the season. These guys are not tired. They need reps. I don't want to hear this. So for the long haul, blah, 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 blah. Maybe for pitchers, but not position players. Get up there and get your hacks. The kid's young. He needs as many at-bats as he can possibly get. So I don't get – and he's one of the few power sources in this lineup. What are we, a week and a half in now? You get swept over the weekend by, probably the best team that you've played, even though the Rangers are struggling to score runs. The Rays are averaging, 3.4 runs per game? 3.4 runs per game, which was one of the worst in the league. The Rangers were at 2.9, and they couldn't score any runs, obviously, because they're going up against Rays pitching, which has been fantastic. The pitching has been exactly what we thought it would be. My analysis before the season was, why the hell didn't you go get some hitters? Why the hell did you not go pay to get some professional hitters in this lineup to go with your ridiculous pitching staff that you have that's the best in the league, even without Shane McClanahan? Well, the answer is, as it always is, you got a cheap owner who doesn't want to spend any money. And that's the way it's played out. Look, it's early in the season. Oh, but Josh Lowe is hurt. He's always hurt. Brandon Lau, I'm sure, is not far behind. It's just that's what this team is. It's very, very thin in hitting. And, I saw Chandler Simpson over the weekend bounce one to first base and beat the throw.
Just unreal.
I was going to say beat the throw. He beat the guy that had to run 10 feet, and he beat it out. And I'm like, he is the electricity that this offense needs at the top of the lineup. And Yandy Diaz, I'm sorry, he is not a leadoff hitter. He should be in the 2 or the 3 hole. And I put that out there, by the way, and I get these knuckleheads who are like, oh, he had hit 2 hits today. Oh, he's in batting champion. How is he not a leadoff hitter?
But I don't know how you put him in the 3-hole, though, because Yandy Diaz, I mean, yesterday he finally lifted a ball and hit it off the right field wall. And that was like the first time all season where I saw some like genuine like pop out of him. Because, I mean, before that, I think he had been struggling to get the ball off the ground. And even as we sit here today, Yandy Diaz, I mean, you think he's a big part of this offense, obviously. Well, he's 6 for 38 at the plate. He's only struck out 4 times.
He's got a track record of
He's got a track record. I think he'll pull it around. The people that are saying like, oh, he's showing his age or whatever, I don't see that. I think the underrated part I think the thing with Yandy Diaz that we have to put into account, he's full-time DHing now, essentially. Right? And how many times have you heard players will tell you this, when you make that transition to where you're now a DH, it's tough to adapt. It really is tough to adapt because you're kind of like not in the game. You're not in the flow of the game. Like Rafi Devers, everybody in Boston was having a meltdown for the first 7 games where he was like, he didn't have a hit. And it's because he made the transition to being a DH, I think. And now that he's gotten a little bit into it, now he's starting to heat up a little bit. So I think Yandy will heat up eventually, but I think that might be part of it. He'll be fine. There's other issues with the lineup. Trust me.
Yeah, no, I think he's the prototypical 2-hitter. But he's not a leadoff guy. You need a guy up there that can make contact, which of course he can. He can and has speed. 100 stolen bases. Chandler Simpson, I'm talking about.
Throw Mangum up there.
Yeah, throw Mangum up there. Absolutely. Somebody that's not clogging up the bases and can get on, and that you actually have to worry about. Even when Yandy's on base, the pitcher can still has his full repertoire. He doesn't have to worry about throwing curveballs or anything like that. That's going to allow a guy with speed on first to get to second base easier. I mean, this is basic baseball, and I just don't understand why the hell he has been in the leadoff position and in one of the worst offenses. And then the other part is, once again, getting hits with runners in scoring position. There's so many holes in this lineup that you can just pitch around guys that you don't have a good matchup with. So you get to somebody that you have a great matchup with, and that's not hard. You don't have to go through 2. You don't have to sift through 2 guys. It's usually 1 at most.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, like you said, it's getting the hits at the right time. Because if you look at the lineup, JP, actually right now, and you mentioned the fact that they're like in the top 5, I think, in batting average at the moment, or something top 10. I mean, look at Brandon Lau is off to a really good start. He's hitting 306. He's the only one that has a power, pulse in his body right now. He's got 3 of the 5 home runs. But you look down, Jonathan Aranda is hitting 333. Meisner's hitting 375. Mangum's hitting 435. DeLuca's hitting 435. Morel is hitting up close to 300. Like, there are guys who are hitting. They're just not exactly hitting the hits in the right spots, and there's just no power source in the lineup. And imagine, this is how funny baseball is. We're only, 9 games into the season. Imagine me telling you that the leaders in batting average for the Rays so far would be Jake Mangum, Johnny DeLuca, and Jonathan Aranda. Yeah. Like, I'm glad that those guys are contributing for sure, but I thought it would have, translated to something different than a 4-game losing streak this early. And of course, Texas just being the nightmare for this team. They cannot play in that stadium. That's 9 straight losses in that stadium. I don't want to go back there ever again. I don't want to play there ever again.
Yeah, Globe Life Stadium is not their friend. That's for damn sure. So it's kind of exactly what we thought. Great pitching with terrible offense, and I don't necessarily see it getting any better, to be honest with you. I mean, I hope Caminero gets hot. I hope Josh Lowe. You can't count on him at this point. I mean, he's an oblique strain waiting to happen. It just, I don't know. To me, when you go into a season with this kind of hope that we hope this guy, is better. We hope this guy is better. We hope this guy, even though he's basically a rookie, Caminero can carry us offensively. We hope this. We hope that. Hope is not a strategy. You need to have more, a lot of bats in case some guys go cold. And this outfield in general is the worst hitting outfield I think I've ever seen in my life.
I wouldn't say that. I can't say that. I mean, look, Meisner's hitting 375. Mangum's hitting 435. DeLuca's hitting 435.
Those guys
hitting.
Those guys, that's not going to last. That's not going to last. Those guys, when the league catches up to those youngins, they'll be back at 225. where
We
they're
don't know that.
gonna settle. Yeah,
We don't know
we'll
that.
see.
No,
We'll
it's
see.
still early. I don't
Where's
want
the
to
power?
overreact.
Where's the power in the
Yeah,
outfield?
I'm more
Where's
concerned.
the power
I'm more
anywhere?
concerned about the fact that there's been a lack of power in the lineup right now, and that's
Yeah,
hard to get around. Like 5 home runs in 9 games,
that's
and
terrible.
Brandon Lau has 3 of them. Like that's
Only
the part.
21 extra base hits.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm more concerning. Like I think, like I said, there are guys who are hitting well right now. They're just not getting the extra base hits, and the power source is thin, and so you get what you get. But yeah, is it frustrating that the Rays sit here through 9 games and they've only given up 28 runs? They've only given up 28 runs, JP. No team has given up fewer runs in the league than the Rays.
The pitching's unbelievable.
But they've only scored 34.
Well, see, and this is so quintessential Rays and Stu Sternberg. It's so quintessential because it's like, oh, we got a good pitching staff. Instead of saying, okay, let's go get some hitters to really make a run, they go, oh, our pitching staff will keep us in most every game, so we'll be around 500, and maybe get a little above 500. So then we're winning, right? And we can say, oh, we've had the third most wins in baseball. What have you won? Squat. You haven't won squat. No pennants in a long time. One pennant since 2008. Look, I understand they've been good in the regular season. They've gotten the formula down, but they do nothing in postseason because their offense is so terrible, and they don't have professional hitters, which cost money. And that's always been the philosophy of this team. How can we make it just competitive enough? Meaningful games in September. Never win the World Series, just meaningful games in September, which means we can claim that we're winning. We're playing winning baseball, but it's boring as can be. It's horribly boring. And it's just not going to ever win a World Series. I'm sure they're thrilled with where they're at. Yeah, we're playing. The pitching staff is great. We thought it'd be hittings, and we'll be about 500. That's great. Good for us. Let's just throw tons of money in our pockets and be done with it. And that's the Rays way. Spend 30% of your revenue on your payroll. Get good enough pitching where you can stay in a game and run prevention, because that's cheaper than buying hitting. And we'll just be that team. And it's, as a fan, you got to be frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not saying there's not like any evidence to what you're saying.
There's overwhelming evidence to what I'm saying.
I don't think there's overwhelming evidence. Like at the end of the day, it's about how many runs you score. Like at the end of the day, you can break down all the numbers, and I can give you all the numbers of what guys are hitting, and the fact that I don't think this offense has been dreadful. So I know the runs say that, but the other stuff tells you they are, like I said, they're getting hits. Guys who we weren't expecting to produce are producing. There's a veteran in the building, Yandy Diaz, the veteran of them all, who's not producing. You've got 2 hits, I think, between your catchers through 9 games, which is an issue. Your shortstop, Taylor Walls.
My friend Jack Hannon just tweeted me 1 for 29, Jansen and Workvet.
Yeah, they have not been great. At least Danny Jansen, I think, provides a lot as an actual catcher. I'm not sure what Workvet does. He can't even throw out. Catchers were stealing on the Rays yesterday with Workvet in the lineup, which is not great. I don't know what value he provides at the moment. But, I'd like to think that eventually they're going to break through a little bit. And with this pitching staff, you should be able to win some, 4-3 ball games or a 5-2. You should be able to grind victories out like that because the pitching has been so stellar. They're so far ahead of the Dodgers right now. That's it. The Rays are the best pitching staff, top to bottom, rotation and bullpen in baseball from every metric you look at. The Dodgers are number 2. They're a distant number 2. So you literally just need to scratch and claw your way. Can you get me 4 runs? Can you get me 5 runs? And they should win more ball games.
Well, the schedule is going to get a lot tougher here coming up, right? You got the Yankees coming in. I forget exactly the order.
They do get the Angels first.
Yeah,
the Angels are going nowhere. So
right now, have you been to a game yet?
I have not been to a game yet. I might try to. I know I'm scheduled to go to one. I have tickets to go against when they play the Braves in the first week of May. Mm-hmm. Or the Phillies rather. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm going to try to get to one before that too, because the energy, everybody that's been there says it's fantastic. The vibe is really cool, obviously, from everybody that's been. So I'm trying to get over there before. And the tickets are honestly getting cheaper on the secondary market.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get some tickets this week and head on over. So I'll have a first-hand review for you. They don't give us free tickets for great coverage of the team like other places. So we have to actually buy them, and I will support the team. I've made that plain this year. I will pay some money for tickets to support the team to fill that stadium, to make sure the rest of the owners know that there's plenty of baseball fans here. We will pack the stadium all year long. And I'm sure as soon as there's not one sellout, everybody's going to lose their mind, right? The Angels on a Tuesday, Wednesday, that could possibly be, but we'll see. I think you're going to have at least 10,000 for every single game. And I don't know why they've said the official attendance is 10,046 because there's over 11,000 seats there. Plus they're selling standing room only. So I'm digging into this and hope to get the numbers for you, but I think the numbers are a little higher than are being reported. Shenanigans going on with the attendance, shocking development. And by the way, so I want to get to this story too. So last week we put the post out there on Twitter. Well, Stu was, obviously when he goes to the games, when he's there, he's getting heckled to sell the team. Way to go. We love every bit of it. And at least to a few fans, he was being heckled, sell the team, sell the team. He started blowing kisses. My good friend Brian Fasulo was like a section away, saw the whole thing go down. I put it on Twitter, and I got multiple responses. Yes, I saw the whole thing. No question about it. I was right there. Probably 10 people verified that. Now, I had tons of people, not tons, but a few people on Twitter like, oh, this doesn't prove anything. It's a picture. I get it. With him with his back to the field staring at people who were saying sell the team. He was openly, you could call it, maybe you could call it being playful by blowing kisses to fans that are telling you to sell the team. I would call it taunting, especially when you're turning around to people and staring at them and saying tomorrow. It's something else he said when they said sell the team. He'd say tomorrow. I'll sell the team tomorrow. Always tomorrow. I don't think that's a good look for an owner. Do you? I think it's a terrible look for an owner. And when it gets to this point, it's not great. But can you ignore them? Probably they're your best play. But to be blowing kisses at him and taunting him, I don't think it's a good look for an owner. It just kind of shows where this fan base is at right now, where he's at. He don't care. He doesn't care that they're playing in a 10,000 seat stadium. I won't call it minor league. It's not. He doesn't care that the fans will now have to go back to the Trop that's going to be half-assed repaired because the city doesn't want to spend a penny more than it has to. And the only reason they're doing it is because they're contractually obligated to do it, and it's probably their cheapest way out because the Rays are going to force them to spend as much money as possible. By the way, how much has Stu pledged to repair the Trop? Zero. Nothing. How has he said one complimentary thing about the city repairing the Trop? Hey, thanks for repairing the Trop. Nope. Has he offered any money to help out? Nope. Nothing. That's him. That's the way it works. And also this is another story that we've talked about for weeks and months. Ken Hagan came on this show, a month ago, and we asked him about, is there enough money for the Bucs and the Rays? Because obviously, the Bucs are going to come calling at some point. Their lease is up.
Big Glazer mentioned it last week too.
Right, and we had talked about it a month before. Okay, so it wasn't news here. It's something it's very obvious. And Ken Hagan said, no, the problem is they don't know what the Bucs want. The Bucs have not said we want a whole new stadium. We need to put a roof on it. They haven't said because they haven't finalized their plans. But I'm going to tell you this: when they do finalize their plans, they're going to kick in. They're going to kick in money. And the Rays have kicked in money to improve Tropicana Field. They have done that. So let's give them full credit for that. Not a lot of money, but they put money into that Tropicana Field to make it better, to sell more tickets, to get return on investment, to put on more premium areas. So they've done some of that, no question about it, and they should. It's their field. Plus, they don't pay anything for Tropicana Field. I think it's 50 cents a ticket the city gets. So it's they don't get it, and of course the city doesn't get any other revenue but that. So they put some money into the Trop, but the other teams have put, Vinnick has put, tens of millions of dollars into Amalie Arena of his own money, probably over $100 million. The Bucs put $130 million into their last renovation. So those teams have picked up and put their own money in a big way. What will Stu do this or sell? He can't get a deal in Tampa or St. Pete. We know that. So maybe he'll cough up some money to improve the Trop because the city's going to do the bare minimum.
I was also like thinking, I've heard a lot of people last week too, when Glazer was it Joel Glazer, I think, right? Who made the comments when he made the comments about, they have interest in stadium renovations, new stadium, whatever it is. Right. And we knew this was coming, and that's going to cost a lot of money because it's just the way it is to do business nowadays when it comes to these stadiums, especially if the Bucs are interested in putting some sort of shade roof on that thing, which I would likely say is going to happen. In some form, there's going to be some sort of roof on that thing. I don't know if it's going to be a full roof, but there's going to be some level of shade, I believe. So that's going to cost a lot of money. But I heard some people also mentioning Amalie Arena too, because we forget Amalie Arena is going to turn 30 years old really, really soon. And when I thought about that, I went, okay, that's true, but they've put a lot of upgrades into Amalie. I'm not sure when the last time was that they went into it. But I know that arena has sort of transformed over the last 10, 15 years or whatever it's been. And I consider that, a pretty state-of-the-art arena. I think it's great. I really know. I'm sure the Lightning will probably want to do some upgrades eventually because it's going to be a 30-year-old building and stuff. And I don't know what cost that's going to be. It won't be anywhere near what it'll be for a stadium. But I guess you have to factor that in as well.
Yeah, it's negligible, honestly. That arena is fantastic. It is absolutely state of the art. I don't understand, and even Ray J, stadiums are supposed to have a 30-year shelf life. Well, that's when they get paid off. Typically,
Mm-hmm.
They'll have 30-year mortgages just like your house. It doesn't mean the stadiums are obsolete. Some stadiums go for 100 years. Wrigley Field at Fenway Park. Now, obviously, they've had huge renovations. But it doesn't mean that there needs to be a new Raymond James Stadium. I look at that stadium; they just redid all the luxury boxes, everything inside. You're telling me you're going to knock that thing down?
Look, you've been to we both have been to Nissan Stadium in Nashville semi recently, and that stadium was built the same year, I believe, as Ray J, and they're both
very similar design.
They're like the same design almost. And I can tell you right now, if you haven't been to Nissan Stadium, it's not even in the ballpark of what the Raymond James is. It's not. I think Raymond James is an underrated stadium, honestly, in this country.
Yeah, because the Titans have put very little into it over the years. The Glazers and the TSA have kept that stadium on the cutting edge, all except the roof. And they need some climate control. There's no question about it. These September and even October games are just they're unbearable in the sun. I think if you get some shade, you're fine. You're fine. It's not cool, but it's not oppressively hot. Sitting in the sun, it's just, that's a no. You can't do it. Not for that length of time around so many people. It's just really uncomfortable. So they've got to find a way to get some shade onto the drone tarp is a beautiful idea. But we also talked about, the sliding roof over both stadiums, that's a concept that's been floated before. They can
even how Hard Rock is set up in Miami, right? Because it's not a full closed roof; it just sort of is from all the sides.
Right. It gives shade to the whole. Now that creates a problem during day games, obviously with the shadows. It's hard to see. It's hard for the players. It's hard for So a full roof of some type would be obviously more money. But again, there's a lot of different ways you can skin this cat. And what Ken Hagan said was with the sits tax and doing it responsibly. Again, it's not like the county or the city has to foot the bill for this or should foot the bill for this. Like, that's ridiculous. The teams make tons of money. They can put money into this as well, a considerable amount of money. If you're building a baseball stadium, the private part of it should probably be about 2/3. A third from the owners, a third from the developers that are getting the land and the other considerations, and a third from the county or the city or both. So it's very doable, and this is how they do these deals other places. So all these people are like, oh, the Bucs, the Bucs are coming. All this is doable if you do it right and you do it responsibly for the taxpayers, because all these teams are bringing in tons of revenue, and they need to find ways, and it's not that hard to do, to turn the public going to these games into revenue from the public side, like they did in Atlanta, like they do at LA Live, like they do at all these new complexes where part of the money that goes to the restaurants and the residential and the and office buildings, all that stuff gets poured into paying off stadium bonds. So it's all very doable. It's done in other markets. It can easily be done here.
Yeah.
And people think that it's hard because Stu Sternberg, like Chris Lotfula said on Twitter this morning, has submarined every stadium deal he's ever been offered. He's been the issue. So once you get rid of him, these stadium issues aren't that big a deal because most owners have deep pockets. They'll share in building the buildings, just like Arthur Blank did with the Mercedes-Benz Dome. He paid $1.2 billion. I think the city of Atlanta only paid $250 million for that. And there's owners out there that are willing to do this. It's just they're not named Stu Sternberg. So,
yeah. I guess the thing to look at too when it comes to the Bucs renovations is, the Glazers' role and how much money they'll put into it. Keep in mind, the Glazers also own another professional sports team, and if you don't keep up with what's going on over there, beyond the fact that they're very well unliked over there, as we all know, Man United is trying to build a new stadium, and that thing is going to cost billions of dollars. And the city of Manchester has already said that that's not going to be funded by them. It's not going to be taxpayer. It's going to be up to the Glazers. And the other owner that they brought in, his name is Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So the Glazers are also going to have to put a lot of money up for that as well. And so I'm curious to see the dynamics of how these two things sort of intertwine with the funding.
Here's the thing. There's lots of money going out, but there's lots of money coming in, you know? And so these new stadiums bring new revenues. So it works very well. All right, let's switch gears and talk a little basketball as we got a big game coming up tonight as the Florida Gators take on Duke. Oh, no, it's not Duke. It's Houston. It's Houston with the epic comeback. And our good friend Chris Airy from FloridaGators.com is in San Antonio, probably up on the Riverwalk. Let's throw him up here, Nick, if we can. Good morning to you. What's up, Chris? How are you?
Morning, JP. How's it in Tampa?
Oh, it is. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I was actually just in San Antonio last week down on the Riverwalk. There we go.
Out on my balcony here. That's the
I can see the
dome in the back. Yep.
Nice. What's the atmosphere like there in San Antonio? A lot of Gator fans.
A lot of Gator fans, actually. More than I anticipated. Everything started. What happens? Between games, obviously the other team starts filing out. The Auburn fans and the Duke fans cleared out a little bit. There were some bouncing around a little bit last night with some dejected looks on their faces. But what you have now is you have Houston's about an hour away. So all those leftover tickets from those Duke and Auburn fans went to the secondary market, and it's going to be a very, very hostile environment, I would think, tonight. There were 68,000 people there the other night. This is going to be quite the affair. But it's the last game of the season. The Florida Gators are in it, and by rights, going back a few months ago, no one would have expected this to happen. But it's been an incredible ride. And this team's playing very, very well right now. But Houston's playing fantastic. They've won 31 of the last 32 games and have not lost since the calendar flipped to December.
Well, let's go back to Saturday, and the Gators are down 9. It's not something we haven't seen them come back, but I said this on Twitter, and I was racking my brain to find another player like Walter Clayton Jr. that has been more clutch, that has played for a state of Florida team. I go back to Sam Cassell, who was amazing in the clutch, but they never got to the Final Four. This is a totally different deal that's going on here, and the shots that this guy's making. And when he takes over the game, are breathtaking. I don't know if I've seen a better player in the state of Florida playing for a Florida team. He's been tremendous, and he wasn't even recruited by any of the major schools out of high school.
No, USF to the east, or rather to the west, South Central Florida to the east, less than an hour away. They did, but to your point, I mean, we know how great those 06, 07 Florida Gator teams were, but when you think of them, you think of those four guys, the 04s. You think of Noah, you think of Horford, you think of Green, you think of Corey Brewer, and you think of Lee Humphrey too. I mean, talk about big 3-point shot makers. Walter Clayton has put this team on his back, and that's not to dismiss by any imagination what Elijah Martin has done. The dunks that he had in the game the other day, those were, you use the word breathtaking. I say show-stopping, whatever you want to say. You should have been in that arena and went, oh.
Oh, you could hear the gas. It wasn't even a cheer. It was like, oh.
Yeah, and Will Richard maybe didn't have his best game the other night, but he had 7 points and 6 rebounds, a huge N1 to start the second half. I mean, he's got guys around him. But, Walter Clayton is the man. And you mentioned the state of Florida. I'm just thinking of trying to think of a guy who's taken over a tournament like this. And maybe the closest thing that we have in the last, say, decade or so, 2 decades, maybe Kemba Walker, maybe Carmelo Anthony, those guys that did stuff like that. But Walter's been spectacular. And those guys were high-end guys. I think people are just figuring out who Walter Clayton is now, just in time for him and the Gators to play for the national championship.
It's so much talk about Walter Clayton, but you had mentioned Elijah Martin, who should not go, sort of under the radar like I think he has a little bit. And I think he introduced himself to the country with his performance, obviously, in that semifinal or that Final Four game, rather. But talk a little bit more about him and the impact you think he's had and in the experience, because I didn't know this. I saw this in the article. I think Scott Carter wrote it for FloridaGators.com. He's won 105 games as a player over the last 3 seasons, 9 in the NCAA tournament. And we forget he was a part of that FAU team that went to a run to the Final Four a couple of years ago.
Yeah, 35 wins for that team. He scored 26 points in the Final Four game that year that they lost to San Diego State at the buzzer. They won 26 last year, went to the tournament as an 8 seed, and then he comes to Florida, and now they have 35 wins. The guy, winning player. But what he's done when he got from the time he got here last year, the guy was a mouthpiece. I mean, workouts, he would speak up and say, "We're not, this isn't good enough what we're doing." Whether they were out training in the heat or whether they were working in the gym, because one of the reasons they brought this guy in here, they were 94th in the country in defense last year in defensive efficiency. That had to change. They lost the first round NCAA tournament game last year, 102-100 to Colorado. That had to stop. In that game, by the way, Walter Clayton had 33 points and scored the last 16 of the game for the Gators. So we can have that conversation. But anyway, Elijah Martin said standard has to change defensively, and he was the standard bearer on that front. Florida this year is right now going into this game tonight, number 9 team in defensive efficiency. Wow. So they only changed 85 spots, and he is a huge credit to that because what he did bled down and became kind of contagious with the rest of the guys. Gators will have lapses on defense. It won't be because of him. A lot of times it's because of what other teams are doing. And they're going to have to be great on defense tonight because while Houston doesn't score a lot of points, they play as slow as any team in the country. They only give up 56 points a game. So it might be one of these things which the first to 65 to win.
Chris Terry joining us here from FloridaGators.com. One of our commenters said Thomas Hawk has been a sneaky clutch too, and I've covered I covered the championship teams back in 06 and 07, and it was a collective. But you need those guys. Chris Richard is another name that comes to mind back on that team, local guy here. Guys that always step up in key moments, and we've saw that. Even though I think Condon scored 1 point the other night, he played some great defense, was physical underneath. So there's a lot of role players on this team, that are chipping in, right?
Yeah, I would say that, and I would also put Ruben Chenyelu in there because I tell you what, the other day at halftime, the first half, they were getting shoved around by Janai Broom, another local guy from Tampa, by the way.
That wasn't recruited.
Plant City. Plant City, right? That's right. So, yes, to your point, guys did step up. But at halftime, through the first half, they were getting emasculated. And that's basically what the associate head coach, Carlin Hartman, told his bigs. He's challenging your man. He's challenging your man. He's challenging your man. And went across the board on the bigs. They played so much better in the second half. They allowed Janai Broom 1 field goal after halftime. I think Auburn scored 5 field goals inside the 3-point line in the second half. Florida outscored them by 14 points. But yes, to your point, it was a collective kind of thing. But I tell you what, they're going to need a lot more from the front court, maybe even offensively in a game against Houston. Because they're just Houston is going to try. They're number 1 defense in the country. They're much, much better than Tennessee, which is an outstanding defensive team. And they're going to try to neutralize Walter Clayton and make someone else beat them. And they're going to be successful on a lot of possessions on that front. So guys are going to have to step up and make some shots.
Chris Terry from FloridaGators.com joining us here. You were also in the building to watch Duke choke away a 9-point lead in the final 2 minutes. They scored 1 field goal I mean, talk about Houston's defense. 1 field goal in the final 10 minutes. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen not only a Duke team, but any Final Four team
with
get
the
held
first pick,
back.
with the first pick in the draft.
Yeah.
On the team, right?
Right. Yeah,
that's
it's
not like Cooper, it was Cooper Flagg's fault. I think he had 27 points in the game. So, but I tell you what, they did shut him down. And again, that was an example of that Houston defense when they had to have stops. They got into that press. Duke couldn't inbound the ball. That's a concern, I think, if you're a Florida fan, because the last couple weeks, Florida has had some problems inbounding the ball when they've tried to salt away leads late in the game. It's stuff that they've had to work on the last 48 hours or 24 hours or whatever it's been. I'm my head's spinning still. A choke job, absolutely. But credit Houston. They did that. That's what that suffocating defense that they play, blitzing the ball screens, getting man up. And another Tampa guy, Emmanuel Sharp, by the way, who we remember his dad, Derek Sharp, at University of South Florida, as a really good player early on in this decade. So fantastic team. It's really hard to believe. You think Florida was picked to finish 6th in the SEC. I saw some had them 8th or 9th in the SEC. 34-5 or 35-4, and here they are, both teams the same record.
Chris Harry joining us. I guess this might be a conversation for if they win the national championship tonight, but I'll just ask it anyway since you covered both teams. Which team would be better, the Billy Donovan's 06-07 team or this team?
Yeah, people always ask that question. Hey, Jordan, who would win if your Bulls team played those Laker teams with Shaq? Hey, we'd win by 2 or 3. They go, oh, that's it, only 2 or 3. He goes, yeah, we're all in our 50s now, right? So you can't really compare the two. But I tell you, this is a hard team to kind of dismiss. That team was loaded, 3 lottery picks, that kind of thing. Yeah. They didn't have the kind of GOAT kind of player that Walter Clayton Jr. had. So until we get into those comparison kind of things, let's just kind of enjoy the run.
Let's enjoy it. Fair enough.
Torian Green has been asked that question a lot. He's an assistant coach on this staff. He's kind of gone back and forth on it, but he's giving this team its due. But until you win a championship, right? Those are even the discussion. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I look at Walter Clayton, though, and I look about, what's ahead for him, and obviously going to move on to the NBA. And I understand that's a completely different animal, completely different game. And I don't prove to understand necessarily how the evaluation process works for the NBA when it comes to being a prospect. He's 22 years old. He played 4 years of college basketball. Typically, we don't associate with that's going to be a guy that succeeds in the NBA.
100%.
But I watch him play, and I'm like, man, he's really nice at everything he does, and he's sort of like an alpha-type dude. And I'm like, should we overthink this? Like, this dude can play, and I think, why can't this guy be a lottery pick? I'm not saying top 3, but the lottery is like 14 picks. Why can't he get in there?
I wouldn't overthink this thing either. And I tell you what, he's obviously helped himself because what he's shown he can do is get a shot when he wants to. Right. And he can get a shot when he's guarded. And I tell you, the shot he made, that fall away shot he made over Chad Baker Mazzara, when they're down 6 at the time, and it changes everything. And the guy's right in his face. Baker Mazzara was a long 6'7" with length. He's going to be a really good defender in the NBA. So I think Jay Williams said after that game, why isn't Walter Clayton being talked about as the 2nd pick in the draft? If you're looking for is that a stretch? Yeah, probably. But if you're looking for a guy who go gets buckets, Walter Clayton has shown he could do it. I just did some math here. Look at his NCAA tournament numbers. So you're talking about, this is when everything counts. In 4 NCAA tournament games, he's averaging 22 points a game. He's shooting 45% from the 3-point line and 88% from the free throw line, 46% overall. He's played 2 other NCAA tournament games in his career. For his career numbers are 26.5, 48%, 44.7 from 3, and 89% from the free throw line. So the guy is a scorer when it matters most. And to your point, yes, I don't know why we're not talking about him more. Maybe he will be. Florida hadn't had a bunch of first-round draft picks since those 07 guys exited. They had Bradley Beal. They had Trey Mann. Maybe Walter Clayton will be the next one.
Well, and it's not the numbers are off the charts, as to your point, but it's the way he plays the game with the ease. He doesn't look frenetic. He kind of reminds me of Steph the way he plays. It's just he's such a quick release on that shot. He can get it off going right or left, and I'm talking about a 3-point shot, which going to your right as a right-hander is very difficult to do. And he's kind of mastered that little step back pop and hit some huge buckets with that shot. Very, very difficult. But he you look at him. And I like the way he doesn't really play with a whole lot of emotion. It just looks easy to him. And those are the guys that I say they're going to be special at the next level. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and to your point, the stoic nature for which expressionless kind of it's been really nice kind of to see the last couple weekends to see him actually smile toward the end of games when he's realizing that the Gators are going to advance, and he did a little bit of it the other night after the game, not a whole lot of it, but I would imagine he would have a big smile on his face around about midnight tonight if the Gators can get this done.
Hey, Chris, as I mentioned, you were around that 06-07 team. What kind of guys are these? I remember those guys. They truly loved each other. The chemistry was off the charts. They hung out together all the time. What are these guys like?
It's the same, and what I see, because I travel with them, team meetings, team meals. There's no cliques. They'll all be very comfortable, whether it's like grabbing their food and going and sitting down with one another, and you see different guys hanging out with one another. And those 04 guys were inseparable. But to your point, yeah, and Billy Donovan engendered a lot of that. I think a lot of this is natural. And anytime that you ask anybody, especially it's been a lot this week, where do you get your confidence from? You're taking all these shots. It's all about him talking about his teammates and his teammates giving him confidence and giving him the freedom to have that. So he doesn't, he doesn't feel like he's the old ball hog word. It's not about that because they all know he's a great player, and these guys are very, very tight. And I think that manifests itself with how they play.
So obviously we mentioned how good Houston is. Last question here. Is there, what do the Gators have to do really well tonight? I think you go down to, make sure you set good screens. Don't let them fight through the screens. Be physical inside. What are those things that they have to do tonight to really have a good chance to score? I think they get to 75, 80 points against this Houston team, they can win. That's not easy, obviously. No. But what do you think?
They've given up 70 points 4 times this season. Okay.
Yeah.
They allow 50. I think it's 56.5 points a game. This is pretty simple. You have to match their intensity and their physicality, and it's going to be very, very difficult. The game doesn't begin till the shot goes up, so you got to go get rebounds. If they get second shots, then they can flare passes out to their 3-point shooters. Houston is the number 1 3-point shooting team in the country, despite being a low-scoring team.
I know.
They shoot 39.9% from the 3-point line. They got 3 starters that shoot 41% or better. So that's it. Rebounding, matching physicality, and not letting their shooters get off. The other thing is you got to protect the ball. When Walter is in trouble and he's in peril, and he's going to be looking to spray the ball around out of these blitzes and double teams. If there's live ball turnovers, the ball's going the other way, it could be disastrous. And Florida has shown a propensity in this tournament to be a little reckless with the basketball. Can't happen tonight. It just can't.
Yeah. All right, Chris, great stuff, man. Appreciate you joining us. I know it's been really hectic out there. A lot of Gator fans out there. It should be super fun tonight. What are you guys doing in terms of coverage for FloridaGators.com?
Scott Carter's out here with me, so we'll have multiple stories tonight, multiple stories, I'm sure, tomorrow. And if the Gators can manage to win this national championship tonight, may have a little fun later into the night, depending on how late San Antonio allows us to stroll the Riverwalk. But
enjoy the Riverwalk. Stay away from those mariachi
we'll be feeling
bands.
It tomorrow. Yeah, that's right.
Those mariachi bands will take you. For one song, that's $20 they got me. It's ridiculous. But come on, can I get tequila and Guantanamera? No, sure. I only get one for $20. That's it. Yeah,
perfect. I'll be on the lookout.
All right, thanks, partner. Appreciate you.
See you guys.
FloridaGators.com. Chris Harry. Great stuff. I'm looking forward to the game tonight. Obviously, as a Seminole, I think a lot of my friends are like, "Oh, got to be Houston." I'm not like that. I want to see this.
I want to see the Florida teams. Yeah, I get to that point. Like, we all have our own rivalries and everything, but when you have one team that's sort of like representing your state at the end all be all, I'm all in on that team. I know it's a little different because none of us have like hatred against, FAU or something like that. Remember, we were all in on FAU a couple years ago, and that was fun.
Of course.
Like, it's a little different, I guess, with Florida, but I think we all we acknowledge the greatness of Walter Clayton Jr. and Elijah Martin and all these kids and the job they've done. And so we want to see them bring it back to the state of Florida.
Well, and also, obviously Florida State starting over basketball with Luke Laux, who, is hit the ground running in terms of recruiting, and that's great. But when the standard is the national championship, if Florida sets that standard, you got to go get that. You got to go get – that's your competition now. You can look at the ACC, and that's tough enough, or at least used to be. But now somebody in your state is setting the bar up there. You got to go – that's what you're recruiting against. And go find the 4 players that are in this Final Four that are from the Tampa Bay area. Maybe you should start recruiting this area a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe you should pay attention to the team in Orlando because we also were playing in postseason basketball yesterday in the final of the Crown tournament. The Crown tournament. We have another tournament.
Hell is that?
I have no idea. I think it was some NIL tournament that they made this year, and last night was the final, and it was UCF in Nebraska. I didn't even know UCF had enough players for this tournament, to be honest with you, because of the portal. But Nebraska did win. But yeah.
Was that kid that went in the portal? What's his name? UCF? Probably more than one. But their leading scorer?
Keyshawn Hall, and he committed. He had committed to Auburn, so yeah, he wasn't playing.
You don't even keep playing for your team in the postseason. It's not like he could go play for Auburn now.
Right.
What?
Yeah, he hopped in the portal pretty quickly after they lost in the Big 12 tournament.
But can't you go in the portal and still play for your team? Or is that?
I don't know.
You don't have to accept.
I have no idea how the NCAA works.
Whenever.
Yeah, I don't know, but. Yeah, we could put that on. We could put that though in a banner probably because UCF loves putting banners on things. So we could say runner up in the Crown Tournament 2025.
Interesting. All right, let's take a break. We got great comments coming in this morning. I want to get to you guys, including you, B. You're clueless on this latest comment. Sorry, pal. It ain't happening. It is not happening. But we'll talk about it. Stu is in the comments again today. Let's go. All right, so we're brought to you by the G's Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Go to the website, give them a call, contact them through the website, and you can get a free case evaluation, whatever your legal issues may be, except if they're criminal. We don't do criminal law. But we can definitely refer you to somebody who does. The Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. They're the ones that will get a job done for you. And they're local, they are trusted, and they get results. JeevesLawGroup.com. Not attorney spokesman offices, Tampa, St. Pete. Back in 3.
Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays! JP here for Riveters, our new official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. And just like our show, no BS, no corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard of prices. Riveters is located just south of Raymond James and Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry, walking distance to the park, so free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. Let's talk about fresh food. Nothing is frozen. Burgers, wings, prime rib, roasted fresh daily, never frozen. That makes a huge difference. The mahi, the salmon, also super fresh. All our sauces are original recipes made in-house. Our Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup is made fresh in-house. It's the best food anywhere, served by people who actually care. Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of where the Bucs and Rays play. We'll see you there. Are you looking to renovate your home, rebuild after the hurricanes, or build your dream home from scratch? Well, let me tell you about my friend Jason Fawcett and On-Site Construction. They have over 1,450 satisfied clients, 25 years of experience, over 500 designs, and a talented team of over 40 construction professionals. They believe building something exceptional begins by truly focusing on all the details, even the smallest ones. We understand that construction can be a daunting process, and we're here to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible. Quality is non-negotiable at On-Site Construction. We use the finest materials, employ the most skilled tradespeople, and adhere to the highest industry standards to deliver a product we're proud of and that you're going to love. Our project management is meticulous with a focus on completing projects on time and on budget. Your happiness is our primary driver. So give us a call at 813-579-5789 or check out our incredible website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at On-Site Construction and Restoration. If you're looking to restore your home after the hurricane, you still haven't gotten that done, they can handle that. If you're looking to add on some new space to your home or remodel inside, they can definitely do that as well. If you're looking to build from the ground up, design your own home, On-Site Construction are the places, the folks to deal with. Jason Fawcett is the owner. I've chatted with him many, many times. Go to their website, onsiteconstructionfl.com. You'll see some of the great pictures of their work. Really, really quality stuff. And they get it done on budget and on time, which is very, very important these days. So check them out, onsiteconstructionfl.com, onsiteconstructionfl.com. Great folks over there. Tell them JP sent you. All right, you want to get to some of these comments?
Yeah, let's do it.
Our good friend B is in this morning. Good morning to you, B. Great picture, by the way. The Trop will get the major $6 million renovation. You will hardly know it was the Trop inside and out, and they will get new naming rights deal. Right now, politicians say no, but they will come around. B, I don't think that's ever going to happen. You have everybody aligning against you. You have MLB. You have other MLB owners. You have the Players Association. Nobody wants to go back to the Trop. The fans don't want to go back to the Trop. The politicians don't want to fund the Trop. They're not going to put in $200 million to extend this lease. None of that. I mean, I know it's great for Stu. I know it, but who else? Who else wants that? Please explain.
By the way,
not even Nick, who loves the Trop.
Well, I'm sort of conflicted about the whole thing because I would probably say it's probably not the best use of funding. But at the same time, I don't want to say I dream, but I would like to have my send off in the Trop, as you guys all know. I've been on record saying that. But I mean, did you see the photos that came out last week? I'm sure you did, of the reporters had a chance to tour the Trop and everything, and we got to really see the damage and the way. I mean, wow, that thing looks in pretty bad shape. It looks spooky. It looks very spooky, and I'm sitting there thinking, it's April. I don't know when they actually plan to start renovating that thing, but they're going to be doing it throughout the rainy season here in Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. Who knows if we'll have, I'm sure we're going to deal with more big storms, hurricanes, tropical storms and stuff that could impact, their efforts to get that thing up. And I'm thinking, how in the world are they going to be playing in that stadium next year by opening day? I don't see how in the world that they can pull that off, especially with how slow it seems construction works nowadays.
Yeah. And think about this also. The city of St. Pete is only doing this because they have to. Ken Welch could not be, his entire political career has probably been destroyed by Stu Sternberg getting out of this deal. He gave him everything he wanted, and it still wasn't up. I did warn you, Ken. I did warn you.
4 years ago.
Right. I warned you. Listen, they have no desire to spend one extra penny more than they have to. And the key clause in this contract is do diligently, I believe is the word, to diligently repair the trop. Okay? It's a very ambiguous word. and there's going to be so many spending moments where they're like, okay, is this something that has to be because they're going to do bare minimum. They have to provide a major league stadium and diligently work towards that. Okay. They're not going to do one extra thing to make it work and be better for Stu. So if Stu wants this to be somewhere where the fans want to come to, he's going to have to put in some money. You think he's doing that? He'll put in some, but not to the point where it's going to be like you want it to be, or I want it to be. And guess what? It's going to be the same location. And people that were in there, by the way, said it smelled bad. It smelled bad. Good luck getting that mold odor.
Yeah, the Rays claim that there's no mold or any issues, but that's just very hard to believe. That's very hard to believe.
And the people that were in there smelled it. So
yeah,
and
I'm sure if you're a player, like, how do you go and play this season? And I know that it's 10,000, 11,000 people, whatever it is, but the energy that's in that building on a night-to-night basis, and then go back there. Like even I can recognize that. I'm sure as a player that would be a hard thing to have to or want to do.
Yeah. Buckins says reporters that toured also said the presence of mold smell was overwhelming. Yeah. Can you get rid of it? It's hard. It's really, really hard, and it costs a lot of money. It's in a house. So let's try to get rid of it in a stadium. Can you imagine the players having to come back to that new clubhouse?
Yeah, after the state-of-the-art one they're in right now?
No. Thomas Casper says Ken Welch turned down USF and Moffitt, to side with the Rays. Sad. Mike H. said, who on the city decided to drastically lower their insurance coverage on the Trop from $100 million to $25 million with a $25 million deductible with a roof that was 10 years past its design span? I don't know, Mike, but I think they got fired. But maybe not. Buckin says it's like smoking in a car. Once you have that smell, it's almost impossible to get rid of. You won't. Are you a Seinfeld fan? I don't even know, Nick. You're too young to be a Seinfeld fan.
I am certainly not a Seinfeld fan, and I.
There was a Seinfeld episode where Jerry parked his car at valet, and the guy that got into it smelled really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got his car back, he's like, "Oh, what is that smell?" And he couldn't get it out of the car. He couldn't get the smell out of his car. That's like the Trop. It's like the Seinfeld episode where you just can't get that smell out.
Yeah. My first job was in sort of like construction when I was 16 years old.
Right.
And unless you haven't done it, you don't understand what it's like being in the back seat of somebody who is smoking cigarettes in their truck as you're driving at 6 o'clock in the morning to a job site. Yeah. You don't understand the brutality of that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the whole idea of repairing the Trop is absolutely it's the dumbest thing ever. Let's pour money into a building that's unrepairable, basically. It's not like you're you're repairing a warehouse. Like you're trying to get this back to a building that people are going to want to come to, that are inspired by. Like who? No. You have owners that are willing to you have new owners, possible new owners, a couple of different groups that are willing to overpay for your team by the tune of $400, $500 million. They have the deep pockets to build a new stadium, state-of-the-art stadium in Tampa. Okay? I'm not saying it's a done deal, and I've never said that. I'm just saying this is what's possible. This is what Major League Baseball knows. Manfred has talked to these folks. He knows who they are. He knows how deep their pockets are. Way deeper than Stu's. Okay? He knows all this. And he knows that the stadium needs to be in Tampa. They don't want to rebuild Trop, Major League Baseball and the other owners, because that means they got to keep paying revenue sharing money to Stu. Not happening. I mean, let's rewind this. Major League Baseball has said, we're going to take your revenue sharing away. and they said it publicly. Imagine what they've said privately to this guy. And yes, Jason Stark went on DAE the other day and said, guess what? The owners and the commissioner are really, yeah, we've been telling you that for 3 months, folks. Long time. Okay? The commissioner's pissed. The other owners are pissed. They want these new owners, and they know who the new owners are. They know the names. They know who these people are.
Yeah. Imagine how pissed everybody's going to be in this scenario that I'm about to bring to you. That the Rays get back into the Trop, whenever that is, sometime in 2026, whatever, 2027. They're back in the Trop. And while the A's do their thing, trying to get their stadium in Las Vegas, which I don't even know if that's even a done deal yet, or if they're just hedging a bet on that, but they're playing in that ballpark in Sacramento, which is nowhere near the facility that Steinbrenner Field is.
Right.
They didn't dress it up any way that the Rays did. I give credit to the Rays. They dressed up Steinbrenner Field and made it look as home fieldy as possible. The A's did nothing. I think they slapped an Athletics, lettering word mark in the outfield and called it a day. And I don't think players enjoy playing at that one like they do in Steinbrenner.
No.
And meanwhile, the A's have now calling the Coliseum an MLB type facility is probably not an accurate way to put that. But it is a stadium that hosted MLB baseball for years and years and years, and it's just sitting there unused. What happens when one day somehow the Rays end up back in the Trop and the A's end up right back in that Coliseum and they're both there next year? Could you imagine that scenario? You want to see owners get pissed? You want to see Manfred get pissed? That'll be it.
And I don't know what the situation is in Oakland or was in Oakland. I don't know if there were other owners that were trying to buy. I think Fisher was not going to sell. None of that stuff that was there. It's a totally different situation than Tampa because you had two teams in the market. And I think baseball wanted to leave the market anyway, to be quite honest. Totally different situation here in Tampa Bay. They want to stay in the market. It's the 10th largest market with the 15th largest market 70 miles down the road. They're not leaving this market.
Yeah,
they're not.
And think of also the big states, JP, like in the country, California, New York, Texas, Florida. Like, is it fair to say that's the big four?
Yeah.
In the state, in the country.
Mm-hmm.
California's got what, 5 baseball teams? New York's got there 2. Texas has got like 3 or 4.
Well, California had 4. They had San Diego, 5. Yeah, San Diego, Anaheim, Dodgers, Giants, and A's.
So they had 5. Now they have 4 technically.
Well, I guess. Well, they're still playing in Sacramento, so yeah.
Yeah, so they have 5 right now. And New York's got multiple teams, and Texas has a team in every big city that they have, right? Just about. It would make just the idea of Florida having just one team and it being in Miami, which has been a disaster for the majority of the time it's been there for 30 years, this doesn't seem right. So why would Major League Baseball not want to have 2 teams in the state of Florida?
Absolutely. It's a no-brainer. And again, when you know that you have this other group that's just waiting to get in there and get the job done and move it to the center of the market so these other owners don't have to pay revenue sharing anymore. They never should have to be paying revenue sharing to the 10th largest market. That's not the way this is supposed to work. But when you have an owner who's been working you guys and screwing the other owners, which they now know, it doesn't sit right. So the whole idea of repairing the Trop, the whole idea of moving back there is a non-starter. And I know that the city has said they have to, they're going to start the renovations or the repair of the Trop. I still think, as I told you before, when this deal was signed and it was a done deal and it's JP, it's definitely going to happen. The shovels are in the ground. You owe me that 6-pack. I said, let's wait and see. And the shovels will never go into the ground for that new stadium. So I know they voted for it because they had to, but let's see if it actually happens. I think they're still trying to work out a settlement and figure these things out. Listen, I know I'm trying to get a feel for how long the Rays can play in Steinbrenner Field. I think the longer it goes and as successful as it is, I think Major League Baseball is going to go to the Yankees and say, look, how can we just do this for 2 more years? And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I used to chat with Hal when kids were going to Cambridge Christian together. He's a great dude, and he is very pro Tampa. I mean, he's lived here all his life. So I don't know the inner workings of it. I hear people say, nah, that's not what we want. But I think at some point they're going to look at the options. And I think if there's a new, if they're hopefully when this sale happens and these new owners are installed, I think maybe Major League Baseball will look at it a little differently and say, okay, we can't go back to the Trop. Can't do that. So where are we going to play? Can we figure out a way to make this happen for another 2 years? I think that seems the most reasonable option. And 6 straight sellouts. I mean, that's early, obviously, and we'll see what happens when the heat and the rain come. I still think it's going to be packed every night, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, we're going to get to some of the other comments. We got to take another break. We got a lot of new advertisers, and we definitely want to get those messages out there. Thanks to, obviously, the Jeeves Law Group, our longtime studio sponsor, JeevesLawGroup.com. Riveters, the new place that everybody's talking about when they go to the Rays games. They're stopping off at Riveters and getting the great fresh food there. You'll love it. Tell them JP sent you. Italiano Insurance, the Gold and Diamond Source, great folks over there. Thank you, Julie and Steve Weintraub, for all you've done and been a big supporter of this show. On-Site Construction, one of our other new advertisers. Whatever you need done at the house there, restoration, construction, they're great folks. ThirdGenerationPlumbing.com, great folks for AC and plumbing and anything else. And Cafe Paradiso. I will be there on Tuesday night. Cafe Paradiso. I'm going to stop by and see my good friend Paulo, who, by the way, was at the game and saw Stu Sternberg blowing kisses. One of the many, including Brian Patullo. So, if you doubt me, I have witnessed it. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Hey, JP here for my concierge medical professional, Chris Lugo, PA. You've heard him on the show for a couple of years where he shares invaluable medical, nutritional, and supplement advice. With Chris, it's like having a medical provider as your best friend. What I love about this concierge service is the convenience and support he offers. I can text or call him 24/7 with any questions or concerns, and he'll promptly call in a prescription if needed. No office visits or copays required. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have someone genuinely invested in my health, not just focused on insurance profits. And the best part, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center's personal concierge service is more affordable than you might think. Don't let insurance companies dictate your health care. Take control of your health and wellness today. Visit BAMMC.com for more information and to schedule your initial free consultation. Empower yourself and take charge of your personal health with BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. Summer is coming. Do not get caught with your unit unprepared. Your AC unit, of course. The awesome folks at Third Generation Plumbing and AC have a special going on right now. You get a free 1-year maintenance package with any purchase of a new unit. They have special 60-month financing as well, so you don't need a huge chunk up front. Third Generation has an impeccable reputation built over 30 years of doing business. They do plumbing, AC, mechanical work, anything you need around the house. They are trusted folks. Go to the website and read the 5-star reviews. Deidre said, great company that always arrives timely. We have used them for our AC both in home and business and have been very happy. The staff is knowledgeable and professional. I would recommend Third Generation again and again. So give Third Generation a call at 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here, brought to you by the great folks at Third Generation Plumbing and AC. That's right, summer is coming, and right now they're offering specials on new units. So get your unit in good shape for the summer. And if you need a new unit, they will be able to give you a free 1-year warranty on all of, or 10-year warranty, but you get a free 1-year maintenance plan as well. on your new unit. So you always want to keep your unit maintained and running well. And Third Generation Plumbing will help you do that. ThirdGenerationPlumbing.com is the website. Contact them through there and tell them JP sent you. All right, let's get into a couple other things. We'll get back to some of your comments here, mostly Rays related. You know, isn't it interesting that 90% of our comments are Rays related? And supposedly they have no fans here?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I've always told you this in my time doing this with the show. The biggest discussions we ever get is when we talk about the Rays in terms of people commenting. It's always the Rays.
Yep, absolutely. But we want to get to other things as well. We had in case you missed it, because we didn't put it on our tease board that we were doing Gators, but of course, obviously, we did with Chris Harry, which was a great conversation from San Antonio. I'm looking forward to that tonight. I think I'm going to bet on the Gators in the semifinal, and I bet on Duke. Duke crushed me.
Yeah. Oh. Man, I had a stat on Duke that I wanted to bring today. I don't know if you saw this. So
go ahead. What do you got?
Duke had a higher field goal percentage, more free throw attempts, more assists, fewer turnovers, and more steals than Houston, and yet still lost the game. They are the first team to have all that in one game and lose, dating back to 1986 when steals became official. Teams were 335-0 in the NCAA tournament up until Duke the other night.
That's incredible. That is Nicky number.
That's how much of an outlier what we watched on Saturday. And that brought me thinking, like, you know, when you watch some of these shows on TV, the sports shows, they'll do these questions after big games. Did so-and-so lose it or did so-and-so win it? And I always roll my eyes at those questions because I don't know. I feel like you're always taken away from the winning team somehow.
Usually,
but with that being said, not taking anything away from Houston, Duke lost that basketball game. Duke did everything they could to lose that basketball game in the most crushing way possible.
And let's listen, Cooper Flagg is the player of the year. He's the number one draft choice. He had it right in his hand to win the game. And he missed.
I couldn't ask for a better look. Yeah.
I mean, was it contested? Sure. But he got it off. Nice move, backed him down. It's an 8-10 foot mid-range shot. You got to knock it down if you're Cooper Flagg. I mean, he's got to be. I mean, that's one. You could see his reaction afterwards. He will never forget that shot.
Right.
That's as easy a shot as he's ever going to get to win a game, probably, and he missed it.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, it's hard. But it's hard because great players are defined by those moments, right? And he came up short. But you also go and look and it's like, man, he had 27 points. He was 100% from the free throw line. He was 3 of 4 from 3-point. He did everything you could possibly ask for from the best player in the country, and they didn't win the game. And I'm looking like, he didn't really get much help from some of his other guys. I mean, and Tyrese Proctor, I felt late in that game was horrible. I really did. I hate to say that about a guy who obviously is still in college, but he did not play a great game in those last 10 minutes. I think he was a little selfish. And you have to give Houston credit, though, because Houston has been on this run now for a long time where they've been sort of plucking away. They're always like the top team in the regular season or one of the best, and they haven't been able to get this far in the tournament yet. But Kelvin Sampson, at 69 years of age, he's been doing this for a long, long time, and he finally gets to go and play for a national championship. And credit for all those people, myself probably included, who scream and yell at the rooftops about college basketball and how much it's changed and players moving on and everything like that. That doesn't happen at Houston. You want to talk about continuity? You want to talk about loyalty? You want to talk about players staying and believing in something? That's the Houston Cougars. That's the Houston Cougars. So I think they're actually an easy team to root for, but I think a lot of people are almost bored by them because they don't have a sort of standout player. I know LJ Cryer is a really good player and whatnot, but you get my point. He's not Walter Clayton. He's not Cooper Flagg. He's not that flashy type of guy, but they are an incredible team, and this is going to be great. And again, for those who were scoffing at the fact that we had 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four, and I wanted my Cinderellas, highest ratings in 8 years for the Final Four. People loved it, and these games were great.
That Saturday was just outstanding.
It was phenomenal.
Outstanding. Yeah. And the Florida game was great. And, I go back to, Walter Clayton, but the entire team just, they sucked it up defensively. They were outstanding. Condon was great at the rim. They got a lot of steals. Elijah Martin is he's a freaking freak.
Mm-hmm.
That dunk, and you've seen that picture from the low angle.
Yes.
Of him going up, and that wasn't even his best dunk. I thought the other dunk in traffic with 3 guys around him was a better dunk. I mean, that was just sick. I mean, he's something to watch. I don't know where he's going to play professionally, but I'd freaking draft him. No question about it. That he just knows how to win.
You want to talk a little bit too about the women's yesterday, because obviously we had the tournament in Tampa. And UConn, South Carolina, a battle of the giants and a battle of the two of the greatest coaches of all time in the sport. Yeah. And it wasn't really a contest. It wasn't really a contest.
Any of the games? Any of the games, the final, weren't they all blowouts?
Yeah, just about. Just about. But I didn't see that coming. And now I don't follow women's basketball religiously. I have heard people saying that this South Carolina team, while still very good, and they were in the final, it wasn't the same teams as the last couple years. Yeah. And I think that bared out in that final yesterday.
First of all, tip of the cap to Rob Higgins, once again, at Tampa Sports Commission for an unbelievable job hosting the event. Sellout. All three games were sold out, packed, 19,000. The arena looked great. I watched a lot of the coverage. It just really a beautiful setting. Chamber of Commerce type advertisements for all week long for the Final Four. So tip of the cap to Claire Lessinger and Rob Higgins and all the folks that made this happen. USF was hosting. They did a great job. So the arena looked great. Everything looked great, except the games were just not competitive. Great programs, but they just weren't competitive. That's the only knock on it. But great job once again. And this is, why Tampa just keeps getting big events, because the group that puts these things together, they just do a phenomenal job. And I saw him giving out all the basketballs on the Riverwalk, and all the kids were out there dribbling the ball up and down the Riverwalk. That looked fantastic. Just a great job. And that's one of the things that when you see these events here, that it helps the community in so many different ways. And, again, in Amalie Arena, with all the money that Jeffrey Vinnick has put into that arena, that's money that's coming back to the city and the county in terms of heads and beds. Right? Mm-hmm. They're going to keep coming back to Amalie Arena because it's a great arena. A Frozen Four, men's basketball. We got first round next year, I believe it is. So, when you talk about putting communities putting money into stadiums, and do they get a return on investment? It's hard to say what return on investment you get from the Trop, but for Amalie Arena and all the events that it hosts and the national events that it hosts, no question, it's been a tremendous investment of dollars and continues to be. Yeah. So that's, when you're talking about a new baseball stadium, upgrades of the football stadium, at least on the Hillsborough side, because you get attendance and you get events coming here, you can point to the ROI. Whereas with Tropicana Field, it's hard to do.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say there is much to talk about the game. Like we said, it was a big blowout, but I mean, standout performances. I mean, Sarah Strong, hello. True freshman, and she goes off for 24 and 15 and 5. True freshman, again, doing that against Don Staley's South Carolina team. AZ Fudd had a great game, and obviously Paige Becker's not her most flashiest performance. Didn't need it, though. But still, she leaves behind an incredible legacy at UConn, and she becomes the latest in a long line of incredible players to come to that program and win a national championship. And, I feel like in college sports, so much of the focus is on the coaches a lot of the times. And in this case, when we think about the greatest coaches in the history of American sports, we always gravitate to the big sports, right? We look at, the Shulas, the Belichicks, like we go to the NFL, we go to the bigger sports, right?
The men's sports, yeah.
But Gino Auriemma, is this not, to me, like, is this the greatest coach in the history of American sports? He's 12-1 in national championship games. He's the first coach to win it in his 70s. He won his first national championship in 1995, which is before I was born. And now he's winning national championships in 2025 at the same program. And look at the players that have come through, whether it's Diana Taurasi, Rebecca Lobo, Breonna Stewart, Tina Charles, Maya Moore, Sue Bird, and on down to Paige Beckers. Is that the greatest coach in American sports history? Because I think he's got a hell of a case for it.
So what has he got? 11 national championships?
He's got 12.
12 national championships.
I think John Wooden in the men's side had 11, right?
At 11, yeah. So he's surpassed John Wooden now. And I would suggest John Wooden did it in an era where there wasn't as much depth.
Yeah. Tournament was a little different too.
Tournament was different, right? So, and the depth of women's college basketball has never been, it's never been more difficult to win a national championship. Now, maybe at the beginning, all the great players were going to UConn. I get that, right? But I would say in the last, 10 to 12 years, that dynamic has changed drastically.
And it changed for him too, because he just went 9 years in between national championships. It looked like UConn's dynasty was over, and now he figures it out eventually and gets a national championship again.
Yeah. So I think it's hard to argue. I mean, there have been some great coaches, but he's got to be, it's different sports, different situations. It's hard to really compare them all.
Yeah.
But
I would put it like this. Is there a team more synonymous with their sport than UConn women's college basketball?
Well, that's a good one.
Like, I feel like when you ask the casual people about, women's college basketball, most people will go, that's the UConn sport.
Yeah, the UConn sport. Yeah, I mean, for a long time, Tennessee was part of that conversation. But what happened to them when they lost Pat Summitt, when they lost their iconic head coach? Mm-hmm. And will the same thing happen at UConn? Depending on who replaces him. So I think absolutely it's a conversation that needs to be had. And the way he handles things, like he's had his controversies, but I just think the guy he's a great teacher. He's unafraid to say certain things and do certain things. He's like you heard Paige Becker talk about it. It's like he said, what did you say to Paige? He said, I love you. And they asked Paige, he said, he said, I love you. I said, I hate you. But it's that love-hate relationship that I think you need to be the best you're going to be. I don't think a quote player's coach is going to push you to be the best you can be. They've got to put you outside your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And that's how you become great. And you become, and so, those coaches that aren't universally loved, because they're hard asses, but they also will hug you at the end of the day. And I think that's what Gino's so great at. He will drive you to be the best you can be, and you'll hate him for it at certain times. But then when you're all done, you'll look back at it and go,
when you're cutting a net down, I think it all goes away.
Yeah, it does. It does. And that's that kind of coach. I don't know if you can do that in the modern day. I don't know. It's tough. You got to be a Gino RM who's, he's got the gravitas to be able to do that. And I think a lot of coaches today won't do it because, players can so easily transfer.
Yeah.
And
to be a 70-year-old man, or it doesn't even really matter, man or woman, just 70-year-olds in general, and to try to relate to 18 to 22-year-olds, like, especially with the way the game has changed and the way that young people have changed, and I'm obviously included in this generation. To me, that you can't underscore that, how difficult that is. And for him, like I said, 9-year gap from national championships and then to figure it out finally, like that's what I'm saying. He's won it in the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, the 2020s. Just a hell of a resume. And I don't think I know he's 70, but why keep going? Me, I know he's 70, but he still feels like he's young enough and he still feels like he's enjoying it so much. Like, keep going.
Right. Absolutely. All right. We're going to take another break. The Lightning have locked up their playoff berth, their 8th straight playoff berths. I'll give you some numbers on this run from the Lightning. They're absolutely incredible. They got the Rangers tonight, and we'll also talk a little Ovi as he breaks the record, one of the most hallowed records in all of sports. So a lot more to come here on the JP Peterson Show. And we are brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. April is Diamond Month, so we've got great specials on all the diamonds at the Gold and Diamond Source. Always a place, if you're looking to pop the question, you got to go over there. They will make your money go forward. 0% interest, 3 or 5 years. You can get a $5,000 diamond for just $83 a month. It's the best place to go. Selection, service, customer service, outstanding. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Almerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Back in 3.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted #3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite.
I love it.
So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
JP here for Riveters, the official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. We're located just south of Ray J and Steinbrenner Field, so it's a great pre- and post-game spot, and the happy hour is amazing. Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. Check out these specials. $3 Bud Light drafts, $4 domestic bottles, $5 wells, $6 premium wells, $6 cocktails like margaritas. It's unheard of. And the Riveters food is freshly made daily. No freezers. Happy hour food specials include $3.50 tacos and barbecue sliders. $6 you get edamame or chips with the beer cheese, which is amazing. $8 buffalo chicken dip, my favorite. The truffle fries, chili cheese fries, also $8 at happy hour. As well as other specials throughout the week, including Taco Tuesdays, you get $3 tacos, and Wing Wednesdays, 7 o'clock to 1 a.m. in the morning, you get our amazing wings, 5 for $5 and $5 wells and wines. That's a good Wednesday night. So if you're tired of the preppy, overpriced generic sports bars, come see the amazing, friendly bartenders and staff at Riveters, where customer service really matters. Riveters, just south of where the Rays and Bucs play. We'll see you there. Summer is coming. Do not get caught with your unit unprepared. Your AC unit, of course. The awesome folks at Third Generation Plumbing and AC have a special going on right now. You get a free 1-year maintenance package with any purchase of a new unit. They have special 60-month financing as well, so you don't need a huge chunk up front. Third Generation has an impeccable reputation built over 30 years of doing business. They do plumbing, AC, mechanical work, anything you need around the house. They are trusted folks. Go to the website and read the 5-star reviews. Deidre said, great company that always arrives timely. We have used them for our AC both in home and business and have been very happy. The staff is knowledgeable and professional. I would recommend Third Generation again and again. So give Third Generation a call at 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's that time of year to get that insurance checkup for your auto insurance, your home insurance, your business insurance. If you don't have that, you could be risking all of your personal wealth. If you started a side hustle, you got a business going, you don't have business insurance, make sure you get it at Italiano Insurance. And, of course, flood insurance. Make sure you have that as well, because even if your mortgage does not demand you have flood insurance, you need it, obviously, as we found out. So Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. All right, the Lightning are playing tonight. They got the Rangers. And did you see Cooper was there for Ovi's breaking of the record? I mean, it just obviously it's a huge moment in all of NHL. And
greatness was in the building. The greatest hockey player of all time, the greatest goal scorer of all time, the greatest coach in the NHL today, and maybe the greatest goalie of all time was on the bench for the Islanders. Greatness in the UBS Arena yesterday.
I wanted to get the numbers. This is from the Lightning's PR department, so I did not look this up. So I want to make sure you know that. With the 8th consecutive playoff appearance dating back to 2015 Stanley Cup playoffs, the John Cooper era, basically. No other team has played in as more postseason games than the Lightning. 146 or 48 more. 48 more than the next best team, the Dallas Stars, at 98. That is insane consistency and dominance. Additionally, no team has won more playoff games during that time. The Bolts registering 87 victories compared to the Vegas Golden Knights, who ranked second with 57. 30 more wins. I guarantee you could go through every sport in any era. Maybe NHL before the salary cap, where the Islanders were winning 4 in a row. You could go over that span. So what is that? 10 years? A 10-year span? 9-10-year span inclusive. Incredible dominance. And I don't think that gets recognized enough by the rest of the NHL. Well, we'll talk about Ovi here in a minute. But I think that, especially in a salary cap, and not only a salary cap era, but a salary cap era where there's been no increase in the salary cap for like 5 years. And you look at
very small ones. Very small ones.
You look at all the players around the league that have been on Lightning rosters and how they continue to dominate and win cups, right? And think about, if we were back in this non-salary cap era, all those players would still be on the Lightning roster because we have an owner that would have paid every damn one of them.
Think about the players who were depth guys that they didn't have a home for, that they had to shed away, and immediately comes to mind Jonathan Marchessault, who wins a Conn Smythe Trophy for Vegas. And last year, Carter Verhaeghe goes to Florida, becomes a 40-goal scorer, big part of them winning a Stanley Cup last year. Two guys who barely even were a part of the Lightning, but they just didn't have room for them.
Yeah, it's an amazing run, and it continues, by the way. The Lightning aren't going away anytime soon. You look at the metrics now, even though they lost the other day, but they got a point. I was watching the Ottawa game from Colorado, having little interest in the game, and they just had chance after chance after chance after chance.
They got goalied. Linus Ullmark.
They got goalied. So I think they're playing fine. I'll be interested to see them get back home. They got the Rangers tonight, and then they're back home Wednesday.
They have 4 home games then.
Yeah, we got a busy week to work this week. So we've got and obviously they've been so good at home. I think they're the second best team since January 1st at home. And so it's been fantastic.
And keep in mind, listen, I would love for the Lightning to get the 1 seed. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but Toronto's opened up a 4-point lead, and we're even on games now, so that's going to be tough to overcome that. But you know what? You're 2 points ahead of Florida, and you have a game in hand on them. Florida's not playing good hockey right now. In fact, keep an eye on this. The Florida Panthers are only 2 points ahead of the Ottawa Senators, who are streaking. So, man, if you could, even though Florida's not playing great, I don't want to necessarily say I would love to play them in the first round, because I wouldn't. I would love to play the Ottawa Senators in the first round. I would love that. I would invite that. So if the Florida Panthers want to keep on their slide right now, and the Ottawa Senators want to just jump them, and we could play the Ottawa Senators in the first round and get the home ice, I'll take my chances there.
I'll take that too. So but we may be 4 behind Toronto, but we got a game with them at home. So we got the Rangers.
That's after New York. Yeah.
So we got the Rangers tonight on the road, 7:00, and then we're home Wednesday against Toronto. Then we're home Thursday against the Red Wings, who are fighting for that last spot. Then we're home against the Sabres, who we lost to on Saturday in a game where we got a point. But Johansson, by the way, was fantastic in that game. He
didn't get much help in front of him.
Ooh, he did not. Boy, are you a little concerned about the defense?
I've hit the mode now where I'm unbothered by anything I'm watching right now, because on April 19th, this all goes out the window.
That's true. Yeah, but you want to be playing well going into it, right? So
yeah, I get that, but I'm not saying I want to lose every game down the stretch, but they've showed me enough that there are games where they can dominate defensively, and then there's other games where it's a little so-so. It always feels like when Johansson's in net, the guy gets no help, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. I don't know if he doesn't have if he's not synced up with the defense or what happens, but it just seems like he gets hung out to dry, and he makes great saves. I mean, he's been really, really good. All right, so and then we got the Sabres at home Sunday, and then we got the Panthers at home on Tuesday. So no back-to-backers, but the Rangers tonight, and that'll be Actually, we got isn't that weird? We have 2 road games against the Rangers in the last week.
Yeah.
So you have the Rangers tonight, then Toronto at home, Red Wings at home, Sabres at home. I mean, the Red Wings and the Sabres. I know the Red Wings are fighting for that spot, and but you got to get those games, and then you got the Panthers at home. To your point, have not been playing great, and then the Rangers on the road. So I don't know what Toronto's schedule is on the way through this, but I just want as many home games as we could possibly get in the playoffs. So just sign me up for, winning this division. I just rather win the division.
Yeah, Toronto's going to get – I have their schedule pulled up here. Toronto's going to play Florida tomorrow on the road, and then they play the Lightning. They have a back-to-back. So they play Florida and the Lightning back-to-back on the road. Nice. So which game is – I doubt Bobrovsky's going to play both. So which game do they prioritize Sergei in? And you get the backup for the other. And then they got to play Montreal. Montreal's won 5 in a row. Then they play Carolina, and then they play Buffalo, and then they end with Detroit at home in their last game.
So that's a tough schedule to end the season.
Yeah, they got a tougher road than the Lightning do to end it. But again, it's a 4-point swing, and that's I think at this point with 5-6 games left, that's a little tough to manage, like I said. And I don't know if the Lightning are focusing on that necessarily. But like I said, I think rooting for Ottawa, I'm going to continue saying I'm going to root for Ottawa to somehow get in front of the Florida Panthers. But in that game that the Lightning do play the Panthers, because if you do end up playing them in the first round, the Lightning haven't exactly played their best hockey against Florida this year. And we saw what happened last year in the postseason. So if anything, I want to see them prove that they can put together a really good performance against Florida if they do see them in the first round.
As kind of an aside, have you heard the story of Isaac Howard, the fine player out of the Michigan State University?
Yeah, I thought we signed him the other day when I was scrolling through Instagram, and they fooled us. It was just them congratulating him on his run, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, so evidently there's a salary cap issue. We don't have enough salary cap to sign this cat. And we talked about him joining the team in the playoffs. I don't know if that's going to, Matthew Nyes obviously had a great run for Toronto last year coming out of college. It's just rare. It's rare. I don't know how he would fit in. I have no idea. I mean, obviously the Lightning do. They have a really good feel for whether he could help or not, but you never know.
I don't think he fits because that's a skilled player that you probably need to play in your front nine. And
Agreed.
the Lightning's first, second, and third lines are all taken right now because they added Yanni Gordon Borkstrand to the list. So what are you going to do? Just throw Isaac Howard on the fourth line and say, hey, guess what? You're going to play with Zemgus Girgensons and Luke Glendening.
And no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I agree. But now if there's an injury to someone in the top 6 or 9, then maybe that opens it up, but let's not.
Don't want that.
Let's not hope for that. So yeah, I don't really think it's going to be a factor, but I will say this: with all that the Lightning have given away in terms of draft picks, it's nice to have that guy, waiting in the wings. That's what was he, a 3rd round pick? I think.
No, he was a 1st round pick. He was in the back. He was in the back of the 1st round, but hell of a player at Michigan State.
Yeah. So, again, you've given away all these picks to stay competitive. And by the numbers that we just read, Stevie Yzerman and Julien Brisebois have done one hell of a job.
And not to mention, it should be – now the Red Wings went to the playoffs, I think, 24 years in a row, and I don't think you'll ever see that again.
Right.
But a large chunk of that was not in the salary cap era, and obviously they have not been able to make it back in the last, 8, 9-ish years. So they're struggling. And I don't think they're going to get there this year.
Was it last year or the year before? I think they did get back, but they
but I don't think they're going to get there this year because they're 6 points off now because Montreal is streaking. They're 6 points ahead of the Rangers and the Red Wings. So I think things might be settled in the East, but I digress. So the Red Wings went 24 years in a row. The Lightning should have a 12-year playoff streak going because if you remember 2016, 2017, they missed it by a point. And they went 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. And that was the year that Stamkos got hurt in like the 17th game of the season. And then Nikita Kucherov went nuclear late in the season and became the Kucherov we know today, but they just missed it. So it should be 12 years in a row, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but it's been a hell of a streak. And that the great thing about it, though, is it's not stopping anytime soon. I mean, Vasi's still in his prime. Kucherov is in his prime. Hedman probably on the back nine, but still,
I think he's been much better this year than he was last year.
I agree. Healthier. He's been better. And obviously, Braden Point, Hagel.
The Gensel move. I mean, that you talk about opening things up. You know what? That's an uncomfortable conversation to have sometimes because of what you had to give up to get Gensel. But the Lightning would do that trade or do that move 10 times over.
Yeah, I agree.
The way they handled that. And then also McDonough. I know McDonough's 35 years old, but I mean, he's sitting in top of the league in plus minus. And Eric Chernak was struggling without Ryan McDonough for 2 years. And all of a sudden, that's your best defensive pairing. Yeah. Like it was. So you'd ride those wheels till they fall off. And by the way, the guy in net's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah. So they're not going anywhere. And I like their chances this year to make a run. I mean, you got to have injury luck. You got to have puck luck. You got to have a lot of it. But as I look at do you see a dominant team? I don't think the Caps are, a dominant team. And so much of this has been about Ovi.
The Caps have been dominant this year. I can't take anything away from them. They got 107 points. They got an 11-point advantage on everybody else in the Eastern Conference this year. The goal differential is crazy.
You?
I mean,
scare you?
I think a lot of people are looking at Washington going, okay, this has been a great regular season. Ovi's been a nice story, and we'll get to that here in a second. But do they really have the high end, the power up front to get through? And, Charlie Lindgren, do you trust him in a playoff series when it really matters? I think that's the big question mark with Washington. Right. But I can't take anything away from them. And I think the Ovi story, it sort of has this sort of fairy tale feel to it, does it not?
It does, but it also has they have the feeling of one of those President's Cup teams that just flops in the playoffs.
Could.
I just think they kind of have that feel to me. So I don't know. We'll see. And I look over the Western Conference. I see some really good teams. What's that?
The West is the West is so far superior to the East. It's not even funny. And especially the Central Division, Dallas and Colorado is a first-round matchup, which is crazy. You have Winnipeg, who's up to 108 points this year. They haven't had any adversity all year long. And then they have St. Louis and Minnesota, who are taking the wild card spots. I mean, the Central Division is crazy good.
Yeah, those are teams that I don't want to play against. A lot of those teams in the West, but fine. We got to figure out the East first,
right?
And I don't see anybody in this division that I say, and I'm not saying the Lightning are a huge favorite in any of these series. They got to go out and they got to play their ass off to win. But I'm not looking at any team that I say, oh, boy, I don't want to face them. I mean, I look at the Panthers. If they were fully healthy, I'd be scared. But they're not. They're not even close. And Ekblad's been out and won't play until Game 3 of the first round of the series because of this suspension.
The Tkachuk thing, too.
They got Tkachuk, Marchand. So Marchand's just going to jump in there in the playoffs and admit that, suddenly they're going to have great chemistry. I don't see that. To put everybody together. So I look at Toronto. Toronto's Toronto, and I know they got us, but I still think we're the better team last year. They don't scare me. Austin Matthews, will he ever win anything? I mean, nah. So they don't scare me.
Actually, to your point, Marchand's played 6 games too with the Panthers, and all he's got to show for it is a single assist.
And he's going to play with Tkachuk, won't he? If Tkachuk comes back.
You're assuming when Tkachuk gets back there, they're going to put together that line that we're going to hate, and that's Marchand, Tkachuk, and Sam Bennett.
Right. But will they have instant chemistry? I mean, I know they're great players, but it's going to take.
That's the argument for why you might want to see him in the first round.
Right. Exactly. I don't want them to get any footing at all. So yeah, we talked about that for a couple of weeks. I just love where the Lightning are at. Would I like to see them win a couple more on the road? Sure. You don't want to lose to Buffalo. You don't want to play loose defensively in front. I kind of get the feeling right now that the Lightning are like, let's get to the playoffs already.
Yeah, I don't think they're inspired by Game 78 on the schedule right now.
Yeah, even though I think I want them to get as many home ice opportunities as possible. I want every Game 7 to be at Amalie Arena if we're going to have a Game 7, right? So I think it's important just because of their road and home records. There's such a big disparity. I know you got to be good in both places to win a Stanley Cup, obviously, But if I have to, if we have to root for something, let's root for Game 7s at home. So go win the freaking division. Go win the division, and we'll go from there. I think it's important. All right, let's take one more break. When we come back, I want to get to the rest of your comments here today and a couple of topics that we want to bring up there. Well, the draft's coming up. A lot of mock drafts have the Bucs all over the board. So we'll hit that as well. We are brought to you by the great folks at Cafe Paradiso. I will go see Paulo tomorrow night and have some of his great lasagna, maybe a little bit of red wine to pair it with. If you are a fan of traditional Italian food, as I am, it is Cafe Paradiso right there on South McGill. Go try it out. Tell them JP sent you. Back in 3.
Hey, are you tired and broke from going to those overpriced sports bars with $18 martinis and $20 burgers? Well, head over to Riveters, now the official sports bar and grill of the J.P. Peterson Show. I love the atmosphere. It's uniquely nostalgic American, recalling the days of Rosie the Riveter. The staff is incredibly friendly and welcoming in a laid-back, casual indoor-outdoor setting. And check out the reviews, and you'll hear this. Best Reuben sandwich ever. Amazing wings, burgers, and prime rib. The welcome you get when you walk in is incredible. The staff will call you by name. You're not just customers. You're really part of the family. So go say hello to Maha, Taylor, Serena, May, Courtney, Jamie, Christina, Lauren. Tell them JP sent you. This is a real sports bar, and we love our home teams. And they're playing the games on the TVs all the time. You won't have to ask to put the Lightning, the Rays, the Bucs, or the Rowdies on. They do the UFC fights for free, no cover. Big screens and TVs everywhere. It's the place to watch sports in Tampa. Great fresh food, amazing staff, great drinks, insane happy hour, 3 to 7 every day. Race season is here, so make sure you stop by Riveters before or after the game. It's just north of 275 on Dale Mabry, just south of Steinbrenner Field. See you at Riveters. Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays!
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the J.P. Peterson Show here, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you have any legal issues whatsoever, make sure you call the Jeeves Law Group. They will give you a free case evaluation. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. So call my man, Scott Jeeves, and his great group over there at the JeevesLawGroup.com. If you're involved in an accident, call them immediately. They will make you a priority, as they always do. The JeevesLawGroup.com. Non-attorney spokesman offices Tampa and St. Pete. All right, you have some sound there from the Gators. I think you have loaded down there. Did I see that?
We got a quick clip here of Todd Golden, who we haven't really talked a lot about.
No, we have not.
He is the head coach of this Gators team, and in 3 years, he's got them playing for a national championship tonight. So this was a little snippet of him after the game the other night.
It's pretty incredible, man. We worked pretty hard to get here, and in 3 years, been fortunate to build a great staff that is aligned and that works really hard for each other. And then we've just accumulated a great group of guys, in our roster. And, it took a little bit to get all these pieces together. But, to a man, they all pull the same direction. There's no unselfishness in our locker room. You see a guy like Walt, he gets asked all the questions and gets all the attention for a great effort like tonight. But there's no animosity there. There's nobody, concerned about that. These guys are just trying to win a championship. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what our program is, and the strides, that we've made over these past couple of years.
Yeah, you remember when he was hired? I was kind of it's kind of an hire,
kind of a risk because he was at San Francisco, which is a significant level below.
Yeah, and he He played at St. Mary's College, and then and led them to the NCAA tournament, by the way. And then was at San Francisco. It wasn't a typical SEC hire, but man, in 3 years, he has done a tremendous job with the Gators. And I mean, what can you say? And that's a team that, when you look at their collection of players, he's got a bunch of guys from the transfer portal, and he's put them all together into a pretty cohesive group. They don't have a lot of out of high school recruits. If as I'm thinking, obviously Walter Clayton was a transfer in.
I believe Condon's a sophomore, but he was a high school guy.
He was a high school recruit. Obviously, Elijah Martin came over from FAU. So, they've used the portal well, and he's done a hell of a job putting them together. Absolutely. Nathan Elliott asks, JP and Nick, are either of you going to the NFL draft party being held at RJS?
I might make him visit. It's been a while since I've been to one of those draft parties, and I don't know how it works. I think now you have to back in the day, you used to be able to just show up and go in.
Yeah, you got to buy a ticket, I think.
I think now you have to buy a ticket, but it's been a bit since I've been there. But it is on a Thursday, and I'm free, and the Bucs are picking at 19. So,
yeah, I'm going to be over at One Buck Place doing the coverage there. So, maybe I'll stop by early on the way over. But we didn't get to the Ovi stuff. It was a great happening to watch him. And of course, he gets it from his. Stamkos has his office, as does Ovi. Ovi has his office as well, and he scores. And last week, he had an opportunity to get an empty netter, and he said he didn't want to be on the ice.
Yeah.
In those situations, and I'm like, well, I get that. I think it's a noble thing. I like that. But then if I bought a ticket to that game, I'm like, I tied the record. Now I want to see him break it. I think they did the right thing. I think they did. I'd much rather see him, on a goal like that than an empty netter.
It was perfect. It was the perfect way for him to break that record. And to me, the aftermath of that whole moment where he just turns and, he slides to center ice.
Yeah.
It kind of has summed up the 20-year career of Alex Ovechkin as a guy who's played this game the right way, and he's always looked like he's had the most fun doing it. Who has more fun playing the game of hockey than Alexander Ovechkin? And even from the first time we saw him play when I was just a young kid, obviously, just getting into hockey, and now seeing him at 40 years old, he's got 42 goals this year. Amid the goal-scoring stuff, he missed, 3 weeks with the injury that he had earlier this year? And he still has 42 goals and more games to go. That's crazy enough in itself, but nobody ever thought that anybody, including him, he said it in 2016, that record's unreachable. Nobody's ever going to get there, and he gets to it in the same amount of games that Gretzky did.
That's crazy.
It's so poetic.
The same amount of games is just insane. One more goal in the same amount. I mean, that's nuts. That's nuts. Obviously, Gretzky's points record will never be touched. But we thought this one would never be touched either. It's insane. And I think Ovi over the years, obviously early in his career, he was known as a very brooding, selfish player. Was that fair to say?
That was probably a fair reputation that he is. A reputation, if anything, a narrative.
Yeah. And as he's evolved, he's just become a great statesman of the game. His celebrations when they won the cup were epic, obviously. You'll always remember that. And he's just been an incredible goal scorer. So, and I look at Kucherov, and I know they're different kind of players. Obviously, Kucherov's a much better playmaker than Ovi. Mm-hmm. And I think if Kucherov was as selfish, and selfish might not be the right word, as aggressive in shooting the puck as Ovi, mm-hmm. I think he would score 10, 15 more a year, at least.
I agree.
But are the Lightning a better team the way Kucherov plays? I would say yes, because their consistency that we talked about over the years, the last 10 years of Kucherov, speaks for itself. Is that fair to say? Yeah,
and he's playing with guys who are proven goal scorers in this league, and he knows what his role is, and that's just the way he likes to play. I think he enjoys getting guys involved. I mean, when he scores goals, does the guy ever smile? No. Does he smile for any reason? No. But I have who am I at this point in his career at 31 years old to say, yeah, you should play a little differently? How can you argue with the results?
Yeah. By the way, Nathan Elliott asking about the draft. I think it's going to be very interesting, but I do think I would say 85% chance they draft an edge rusher at 19.
Oh, you think 85%? I don't.
You don't?
No. Well, first of all, I had basically come around to the Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College. I had come around to him. But as we get closer to the draft, I'm seeing more and more that Ezeraku, I don't think he's gonna make it to 19. I think he might go top 15, actually, Ezeraku now. A lot of people have, obviously, Abdul Carter is the number one rusher on many people's boards. Jalen Walker's too. A lot of people have Ezeraku as the third, ahead of Mike Green, ahead of Michael Williams, a lot of those guys. So
if Mike Green falls to the Bucs, and I think he will, how do they pass on that guy?
It would be tough. I'm just looking at
it would be stupid.
I'm just looking at the fact that this is not a class where you're going to find exactly great linebackers throughout the middle rounds. As much as I don't know if value lines up taking a linebacker in the first round, there's one dude you take in the first round, and that's Jihad Campbell from Alabama. The Bucs have they still have a massive need at linebacker, in my opinion, because all they did was swap out KJ Britt for Anthony Walker, and I don't think Anthony Walker's a starting caliber linebacker in the NFL. And I'm not betting on Servassier Dennis to stay healthy and produce for me because I haven't seen it. And Levante David's 36 years old. So that's fair still point. to me, that is still need number one, that if Jihad Campbell's there at 19, I feel like that's the pick.
And people, there's a lot of people who think Jihad Campbell can line up on the outside and be a hell of an outside rusher. Yeah. And obviously he can play inside as well. So you have the versatility, and just, watching that guy at ReliaQuest Bowl in person, he is a specimen. He plays fast. He looks fast. He is fast. He's got a lot. So you could kind of hedge your bets either way there. So yeah, I think that's possible. But if they do take him, is he an outside linebacker or an inside linebacker?
Well, he's going to be right in the middle of your defense. He's going to be in the middle of your defense, and he's going to be wearing the green dot before it's over with. It's the way I see Jihad Campbell. But to be honest, all the guys that I've seen that have been mocked to the Bucs in a lot of these drafts, I don't think you can do wrong with any of them. We'll see what happens with their careers. But Jihad Campbell, Mike Green, Ezeraku, if they want to go secondary and go Malachi Starks, who I think has more upside as a corner than a safety, because they're going to be moving Tyke to play safety anyway. So then you hear Todd Bowles last week talking about Jamel Dean, didn't exactly give him the biggest vote of confidence. Like, yeah, you're going to be our starting corner. Basically said you're going to have to compete for it, and implied they're going to bring in competition. So corner to me is still firmly on the table as well at round one.
Agreed. Jeff Stutler says, I had the Stu shirt with the clown nose on and yelled, "We know MLB wants the team here in Tampa, and the team is for sale. Stop lying to the public." And he just stared forward. He's a clown. Way to go, Jeff. Jeff also says, I saw a post of Ray J looking like the ship on the outside. Is that a plan from the team? It mentioned wanting to host another Super Bowl. Yeah, well, obviously they need to increase capacity to host another Super Bowl.
Take my ship away? Come on.
Yeah, how do you feel about that, Bucs fans? If we have to take the ship out, and obviously they fill in the end zones there. In both end zones, you could probably add another, 20,000 seats, and of course more premium seating. They'll do two clubs, one in each end zone.
The ship adds so much character to the building. I think if I saw a picture of Raymond James Stadium without that ship there, I'd probably go, yeah, that's just a run of the mill stadium. The ship to me just adds character, and I love the cannons. I love that we have that unique thing that sticks out.
I think you can find a way to build around it, right? Like you can make that ship a whole premium seating area. How much would people pay? Because right now it's just kind of a promotional thing. But how much would you pay to watch the game from the ship, open bar, free?
There's a little bar right next to it as things stand right now, too.
Yeah, but that's a public bar. That's where the
public bar. But yeah, I see what you mean. You can make it exclusive.
Oh, yeah, they could. Revenue, right? Nathan Elliott says the only real issue I have are the elevators, escalators, and trying to walk behind the north end zone walkway. Yeah, I think you're going to see, those end zones become stands and with premium seating on both ends. If they're doing if I'm doing a renovation, you want to get it up to 80,000 probably, or close to 80,000. So you got to add 15,000 seats, which you could easily do from the in the end zone. Put a couple more, and close it, which will make it a lot louder. And then obviously you're going to want to put some type of shade on the top. There's a lot you can do, but again, the city and the county are not going to fund all this. Like everybody acts like, oh, the city and county have to fund the whole thing. No, they don't. Everything's negotiable. The Glazers obviously have a lot of money, and I know they're building a new stadium to replace Old Trafford. But again, with these opportunities come a lot of revenue opportunities as well. What else we got? Michael LaRue said, good morning to you. One positive thing about Ray's offense is that they are 10th in batting average, first in strikeouts with only 63. Yeah, we mentioned that. They're putting the ball in play, but no power. You got to have power in this game,
Yeah. I don't like the power potential of the team, but I do like that, though. I think there's something to the fact that you keep putting the ball in play enough, eventually your luck's going to turn, and this is a 9-game sample size. It's a 9-game sample size. I mean, we got a lot of baseball to play.
Yeah, but I'll just say this. The lack of power is so evident, and it's just you're not going to win anything without.
Well, I wish they had opportunities to get Morel more in the lineup, and I can't believe I'm saying that because Morel was one of the players I was like very didn't feel great about coming into the season. He's actually only had 18 at bats, if you can believe it, Morel. But he's actually he's been much more disciplined at the plate in those 18 at bats, and he's making hard contact with the baseball. But the problem is it's hard to put him in the lineup when Meisner, Mangum, and DeLuca are all hitting 400. Yep. Can't really find a spot for him, but you're sacrificing power there because you're not getting power from Jake Mangum. I don't think you're getting much power out of Meisner, and then DeLuca. He's had a lot of power in the in AAA, hasn't shown it at the pro level. But with that being said, I like where DeLuca is. The fact that he's doing this right now, I like this about DeLuca because I didn't think we were getting much out of him to start the season.
All right, last one, Rick. Good morning to you. We got to get him in here. Stu was blowing kisses because he heard the fan shout, "We love you, Stu." They're actually screaming "F you, Stu." I think, yeah, that's a good bet. That's a good bet. All right, that'll do it for us today on a Monday. We'll be back in studio tomorrow on Tuesday. Scott Reynolds, TJ Reeves scheduled to join us tomorrow, so we'll get some more Bucs draft talk coming at you. All that good stuff. Go Gators tonight. We will be watching and obviously doing some snarky tweeting as we watch the game tonight. Enjoy it, and we will see you tomorrow. Talk about a national championship for your Florida Gators. See you then.